Today, we're going to dive into the surprising science behind our social lives through something I'm calling the geometry of belonging. It's a journey that starts with a famous myth, runs through a little personal experiment, and ends with a truth that might just change how you see your entire social world. And it all kicks off with this paradox that I just couldn't get out of my head. We've all heard it, right? That we're connected to literally anyone on the planet by just 6 people. But if that's true, if the world is that small, why is it that a staggering 60% of adults say they feel lonely? What is going on here? What's causing this huge disconnect? That's what we're going to figure out. It really all comes down to this number, 6. You know the whole 6 degrees of separation idea from way back? It's this really comforting thought, isn't it, that we're all part of this one big, cozy, interconnected family. You know, somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows Taylor Swift. It should be simple. Yeah, well, not so fast. Because that cozy theory slams right into a cold, hard number, 60%. And this isn't a theory. It's how people feel. It's the daily reality for most of us. And this gap, this chasm between the math of connection and the feeling of isolation, that is where our story really gets interesting. So, I couldn't just leave that paradox alone. I mean, I had to see for myself if this theory actually holds up in the real world. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to run a little experiment, use my own social network to test this whole 6 degrees myth firsthand. The idea was incredibly simple. The goal was just, could I find a total stranger, someone I have zero connection to, by only going through my chain of personal connections? Think of it like a modern-day version of that original small world problem. And here's how it went down. I picked my target. I started with the obvious first step. I hit up my inner circle, my best friends. Hey, do you know this person? They didn't, but they asked their best friends. And you know what happened? Almost immediately, I hit a wall. See, the problem was, my best friends' best friends, well, they're mostly my friends too. We're all in the same little social bubble. I wasn't expanding outwards at all. I was just going around in circles. The experiment, as I'd planned it, was a complete and utter failure. But that failure, that was about to teach me everything. So yeah, the experiment failed, but that failure led to the big aha moment of this entire thing. It made me realize I was looking in completely the wrong spot. The real secret to connection. It wasn't in my closest friendships. It was hiding in a part of my network I'd been totally ignoring. And the answer has a name. It's what sociologist Mark Granovetter famously called weak ties. These are the acquaintances in your life, the people on the very edge of your social circle, that old colleague you got along with, the friend of a friend you had a good chat with at a party. Granovetter discovered that these connections are uniquely powerful. They aren't your best friends, and that, it turns out, is exactly what makes them so incredibly valuable. Okay, this slide breaks it down perfectly. On one side, you have your strong ties, your ride or dies. They form this dense, comfortable cluster. This is your home base, where you get comfort and trust. But notice how insulated it is. Now look at the other side. That's the power of weak ties. They act like bridges, connecting your little cluster to entirely different worlds. Worlds with new info, new opportunities, new people. Your strong ties give you depth, your weak ties give you reach. My experiment failed because I only ever looked inside my own bubble. But look, this isn't just some networking hack for your career. This whole idea about weak ties, it connects directly back to that feeling of loneliness we started with. It helps us make sense of a very specific, and I think very common chapter in our lives. I absolutely love this quote because it reframes loneliness. It's not a personal failing, it's a transitional phase. This lonely chapter is that uncomfortable but totally necessary space you find yourself in when you're growing. You might be moving on from old friends that just don't fit anymore, but you haven't quite found the new ones who will define your next phase. It's a temporary feeling, for sure, but man, it feels real when you're in it. So, how do you get out of that chapter? How do you find your way forward? You guessed it. It's the weak ties. They are the key. Think of them like scouts who can venture out beyond your current social map and help you discover the people and communities that are going to form your next chapter. They are literally the lifeline out of isolation. Now, this all sounds great in theory, but theory is kind of useless if you don't do anything with it. So let's turn this insight into a simple, powerful little habit you can start using this week. I call it the weak tie outreach. It is this easy. Seriously, once a week, Just once, scroll through your contacts, your phone, your email, whatever, and just pick one person you haven't talked to in a while, a weak tie. Then send them one simple, super low pressure message. You're not asking for a huge favor, just something like, hey, I saw this article and it made me think of you, or remember that crazy project we worked on? Hope you're doing well. That's it. You're not trying to force a friendship, you're just gently maintaining the bridges that lead out of your bubble. So, this brings us all the way back. That 6 degrees of separation theory, it's not really wrong, it's just misunderstood. The path isn't through our best friends, it's through this huge unexplored network of people we barely know. And that leaves us with a question. Who is the first stop on that journey for you? Who is one acquaintance, just one, that you could message this week to start building that bridge?